stand back. The wives have arrived. Joel Siegel raves, The First Wives Club is great fun, great stars. Midler, Hahn, and Keaton are a comedy dream team, says Rolling Stone.
Fabulous!
Gene Shalit calls it a sparkling grown-up comedy. And Rex Reed cheers, everyone will want to join this club.
Happy days.
The First Wives Club, now playing in theaters everywhere.
Well, if Rex Reed is giving it such high praise.
That queen.
Welcome
I love
back.
a good Rex Reed pull quote in a TV spot.
I mean, you are reading Miss Reed to Phil. Welcome back, listeners.
Welcome back. Very special show today.
I think so. I feel like we get requests for this one all the time.
I can't believe this one got in after episode 200. Like, how did we not do this earlier?
It took us this long. Well, I'll tell you why in a moment. But listeners out there, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these
are the movies
that made us gay.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome to the show. Jack Fields, welcome.
Hi. Welcome to the show.
Welcome
you
to
so
the show.
much.
And you got a really good one today. We watched the long-awaited First Wives Club, directed by Hugh Wilson, written by Robert Harling, starring Dianne, Bette, and Goldie. First Wives Club.
First Wives Club. We made it. We made it.
So,
written by Robert Harling.
So
how did I not know that?
Written by Robert Harling, but there is an interesting kind of screenwriting thing with this movie that Robert Harling went on to do The Evening Star for Paramount at the time. And he wasn't available for any rewrites of the script because I think that the script needed a lot of work. So Paul Rudnick came in and fine-tuned the script.
Sure.
Because Paul Rudnick has kind of said that the first kind of few passes of this that he read were kind of a mess. So he had to kind of go in and fix some story elements to this movie.
Sounds believable to me.
Absolutely.
Which,
yeah.
Even now, I mean, watching the film, there are these serious moments and these slapstick moments. It is kind of a wash, even though it's an amazing wash.
It was probably just a time thing with Paramount that they probably just didn't have time for Paul Rudnick to do a complete rewrite of the script.
Right.
So probably just over guild reasons, that's why he was not credited.
Sure.
During it? I don't know.
Can I tell you both something right now?
Please.
I had never seen this movie before today.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you something right now,
Never.
Jack? I had never seen this movie.
Oh my!
I don't know why I had never seen this movie. It's shocking. It's just one of those movies for the past, 20-some years of my life I had been meaning to get to. Because I was 10 when this came out. So this was it was a grown-up movie. I loved Goldie. I loved Bette. But for some odd reason, the First Wives Club did kind of seem a little too much like a mom movie.
Maybe that's why I loved it so much. Because
Sure.
it came out when I was 96. I would have been 9. So maybe it was just a little more developmental to me. It literally was a movie that made me gay in that sense.
I definitely remember the poster in our theater lobby.
Yes.
Of all three of them smoking the cigars.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What I remember is the VHS tape, always being at the Blockbuster video store and just thinking, wow, 3 glamorous women on top of a statue smoking cigars.
Did you ask the Blockbuster employee, can I please have that standee? Of the First Wives Club.
What are you doing with that
of
when you're finished with it? Okay, so Steel Magnolias came out when I was 11, right, in 1989. And I was, in love with it. That was a very grown-up mom movie. But it had that script.
Sure.
And it had those performances.
It delivers the jokes.
And it had Dolly. And it had all of that. Now this, I did not know Robert Harling wrote this, who wrote Steel Magnolias based on his play. And I think maybe at the time, if I had known that, I would have given it a chance because I adored Bette Midler growing up. Right. I felt like, to me, Big Business was her finest work.
I mean, we've done 4 Bette Midler movies on the show.
You both are such Bette boys. I thought this would have been so up there. I'm still reeling right now.
Yeah, as am I. Diane Keaton, I feel like at the time when this came out, I don't know what I thought of her as far as I don't know if I was just yes, bitch. Or if I was just kind of this one.
But you know what's funny about that, though? about this being a mom movie and Diane Keaton. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, yeah.
Is that this is the year Marvin's Room came out, and I
didn't care about
loved Marvin's Room when I was a kid, which is weird because like Marvin's Room is so heavy.
Oh, I didn't care about Marvin's Room. Yeah,
maybe I can kind of get a little revenge on you right now. I've never seen Marvin's Room.
I think it was the Leo of it all. It was the Leo right after Romeo and Juliet building up the Titanic.
Is Leo Marvin?
No.
Oh, well then I don't. But also Goldie, another person that me and my mom share this like adoration for Goldie. My mom loves Goldie Hawn, and I loved Overboard.
I love them both.
One of my favorite comedies of all time.
Yeah, and so right there, this movie has this kind of like built-in like cast for me to be like, yes, let's let's watch that. But as we're watching it, and we're definitely going to get into this. There is something about what the 90s fashion did to women.
Yeah.
Because 45,
especially when they call out
46,
their ages.
These women, look, I'm sorry.
Well, and I think it's kind of bizarre that all of our female friends are kind of getting to be in their early to mid-40s.
Yeah,
and
right.
I mean, they look like spring chickens compared to...
Because people our age, we still dress like we're extras or background extras on Sesame Street. Like we don't know how to dress like grown-ups.
I mean, 40 is the new 30.
Yeah.
And et cetera, right?
And we don't know how to dress like grown-ups. And in the 90s, when my parents were in their 40s, I don't think they were quite dressing like this. But I think they were trying to make Bette Midler, what is her character's name? I think they were trying to make Bette Midler's character have kind of a glow-up, if
Brenda.
you will.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, because I think they kind of maybe pat her out a little bit in the early
well,
scenes.
they did. In fact, in
right?
interviews, I said, you guys had never seen the movie, so you've never read the book, right?
No, not familiar.
In the book, the character of Brenda is supposed to be
heavy,
and they make a big deal out of it. The book is so different. I actually don't recommend it.
I would imagine it. I would imagine it'd be very different. And then the other thing that I do remember is the author. And her unfortunate passing.
Yes.
During
so
a plastic surgery.
I didn't know about this.
Procedure. Joan Rivers style.
Yeah.
And like how kind of like, is that ironic? Get Alanis on the phone.
It's almost like a joke out of Sex in the City or something.
Yeah.
Not to kind of go really dark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or like 30 Rock, that like the author of First Wives Club passed away and during a...
I mean, that's like a Nip Tugs episode right
there.
It's
unfortunate, but I do remember that happening, and that was in like 04, 05 or something. Sure. Yeah, right. I still had not seen the movie at that point, but I was just like, oh, okay, that's weird. But this cast is so stacked.
It's
all the women are great.
The below the line cast.
Everybody,
of this movie like Marcia Gay Harden, Elizabeth Berkley, SJP,
Maggie Smith.
Can I tell you that Marcia Gay Harden in this movie, Scott gives me shit because I always say that Marcia Gay Harden is a handsome woman. She's like fucking fierce in this movie.
She's hot, right?
That haircut and the like Ally McBeal like short skirts.
Or the therapy session where they literally do a close up her legs.
It's like,
whoa.
She's serving the legs for days.
Yes.
Like I'm like, oh, I mean, I guess it's to illustrate that she's sexy and that's why Stephen Collins would go for her or whatever. But I was like, all right, Marcia Gay Harden. And then I think they're kind of doing it as a joke, but Maggie Smith is playing this like socialite.
Right.
And she's very done up. A lot of makeup, very kind of not what we usually see Maggie Smith as, a glamorous woman.
Which I love it.
She looks so good.
She looks so good.
I was like, damn, Maggie Smith, okay. Yeah. She's giving me New York socialite. She's giving me that woman that's, of an age with the silver hair, and it's like, maybe she still models, for like niche campaigns, She'll do
Estee Lauder,
yes.
Estee Lauder 60.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sexy at 60.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, Maggie Smith never gets to have like a beat face and like cool hair. She just always now is just like frumpy old.
Especially everything post like Sister Act.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, compare like Gwynilla to the Mother Superior in Sister Act. It's like, whoa.
Right. And
that's range right there.
Another thing too is that I think a lot of people of a certain generation were introduced to Maggie Smith, from Hook, where we really thought she was 100.
Right.
Yeah.
But they like aged her up.
Right.
She was probably 50.
Right.
In Hook. And we were like, oh, here's this 100-year-old actress that they like, wheeled out for this movie. And then the next thing we see her in a Sister Act where she's a nun. And so we're just like, okay, again, still 100, you know? And so now, 25, 30 years later, we're just like, she's still around the same age she was
30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but she was only like a 50-year-old woman.
She's like a Highlander at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was Maggie Smith in Sister Act the same age as Salma Hayek is now? Maybe. If
probably the same age
if somebody was
as J-Lo.
As J-Lo.
J-Lo is kind of the one.
Jen Aniston and J-Lo and Salma are around the same age, and there are like litmus tests of this is what a 53-year-old woman looks like today.
Right.
This is the cast of Golden Girls.
And Blanche Devereaux is what a 53-year-old woman looked like in the 80s. So we have like but it leads us to in the 90s. Now these women are all the actresses. Scott, you pointed out that the actresses were all turned 50.
They all turned 50, I think,
while
during filming
making the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like within like a month of each other.
And I
so
looked,
they all got to celebrate each
up.
other's birthdays with
Goldie
each other.
and Bette both have, or Goldie's late November, Bette's December, and Dianne is January.
Yes.
And so they're all like in a row. And they're playing, I mean, they all turned 50 making the movie, but they're playing 46.
Right.
I think one of them they said 45. But then
Goldie.
And then Dianne they said 46.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll give them 5 years, right?
Easy.
But just some of the costuming.
Well, and especially for Goldie's Elise Elliott is supposed to be trying to be younger, right?
Yeah.
Right. So something that Scott mentioned.
I mentioned that. So, I mean, the big visual gag of the movie is the lips.
Right.
The lips. And you watch this movie now, and I think that we're just
like fierce
conditioned
work.
to just
right.
Big
We're lip numb
now.
Yeah, we're lip numb. Yeah.
I'm just kind of like work.
Yeah,
she looks great to me.
Just like honestly, work.
Yeah.
keep getting that work done because you look great. Yeah, it's not a shock when she comes out and she's just like, okay.
The only time it's like whoa is when they first reveal it when she's at the newsstand and morning Bahabit. It's like whoa. Then it might be a little over the top.
Who is an actress that kind of got a lot of shit for kind of first coming out publicly with all of that? Was it Barbara Hershey?
That's who I was going to mention.
Barbara Hershey. Yep.
Barbara Hershey got them done famously for Beaches. And I don't know if it was why.
I think it was just her decision to try and look a little younger.
Mm-hmm. But it became like national news.
Yeah.
Like Barbara Hershey got her lips done. And I don't know, I mean, that was late 80s, so that might have been silicone.
I
sure.
think
probably not a good idea to put
not a
into
good
your
idea.
lips.
No. Well, and then Goldie said that she used like saline or something. Yeah.
So she did get something.
Yeah, she got something, but she said it actually really hurt. Which is why
I've
she
heard
didn't
that
do
it
it.
hurts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I've heard that it hurts a lot. Raven, famously from Drag Race, says that it fucking hurt. It like tears the flesh in your
and
lips.
like we said a second ago, we're kind of numb to it now.
Yeah.
I still don't think it looks that great. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
I think Goldie in this, maybe it was because it was saline and it was soluble or whatever. It looks a little bit more natural, but there is that thing that's unfortunately some women get the thick upper lip, the Kristen Davis, Meg Ryan situation. Rinna obviously is like the big one. I think Rinna's been getting it done for
Rinna
so long.
brands it.
Yeah,
Rinna was probably getting it done
now.
when she was on Melrose Place.
Probably.
Oh, absolutely. I only remember her looking like this. Like I don't remember any thin lip Rinna. That's but I think
Heaven forbid.
Yeah. But when you see like Kristen Davis and Courtney Cox during her phase, it was just like that thick upper lip situation that started looking a little kooky.
The fish look.
Yeah. And fortunately for Goldie, it didn't look that way or stay that way.
Right. I mean, it's only at that little segment of the movie, and then I guess they settle.
And Anna Faris got it done for House Bunny, but I think she got Restylane, which is also not permanent.
It devolved.
It's the Botox of lips.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was so funny when Scott was saying that. I was like, yeah, you're right. She does look funny in that one scene, and they overdraw the lips and they make them really glossy to look even more crazy. But we're just like, all right, all right, Goldie, you look good.
She's looking pretty fierce. Mm-hmm. So, do you have any memories of first watching this movie?
Like I said, probably came across it just in the video store, and wow. 3 fabulous women.
Yeah.
Done. Sold.
Great
Mom,
poster.
can we get this for my 99 cents?
I mean, I feel like this movie does have longevity. That I feel like it's been consistently talked about as kind of this feminist classic of the 90s, kind of ever since.
I think so. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it definitely holds up. I mean, and I would rank it alongside 9 to 5. And
sure. Sure.
That said, kind of going into this movie without the nostalgia and the background of it, I can tell there are story problems of this movie. Of that, I think that you got the premise, you have the actresses, but there is something about the script by Robert Harling that I don't think really lands in the story department. And it's kind of like when they're trying to get revenge or punish
all of the husbands. My issue with it was this. When they're initially getting together and saying like, okay, let's create the First Wives Club.
Right. And they do the gross thing with the rings and the champagne.
With the rings and the champagne. And I'm like, yeah, but what is it? Yeah. What are you doing?
Well, they addressed that. I mean, Annie's narration is like, starting the club was easy. Figuring out what to do next was considerably harder.
Yeah, and I guess it's like maybe they didn't have to show us point by point, but I feel like...
I want a list. I want to see him get crossed off.
I feel like Roseanne, Vesta Rose, in She-Devil gave us a list that she crossed off. This is what I need to do to bring down my husband, Ed Begley Jr. You know, he's got a home, he's got a family, he's got a job. And I'm going to cross all of those off the list. And consistently throughout the movie, we kept going back to it and referencing it. And then I don't know, maybe just because I'm so tied to She-Devil that I was like, where's our Vesta Rose list of things you're going to take away? But, you know, they do kind of, through the story, they tell us what they're doing. So we don't need it to be spoon-fed to us, right?
Well, and they address that in the whole movie. They're like, we were thinking too small. This isn't what we were supposed to do. And it all comes out over the course.
Yes,
I mean, it ends up okay at the end.
True. Let's talk about the husbands. The piece of shit husbands.
Yes.
They
are all pieces of shit, aren't they?
So, piece of shit one, I mean, treasure of movies that made us gay, Dan Hedaya.
Yes.
We've covered like 7 Dan Hedaya movies. I should have done some sort of a quiz to commemorate it. But yeah, Dan Hedaya.
Yeah, he's a character actor like for hire. He will be in your...
Would have just been coming off of Clueless too. From 95.
With Lucy the Maid, who is...
Is that Lucy the Maid?
It is.
Oh,
did you look it up?
Right.
I did. I looked
okay.
Up, yeah. She's Marcia Gay Harden's maid who she gives her the pearl necklace. And she's like, no. But that's Lucy the Maid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mean Stockard Channing?
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Stockard Channing. I was shocked.
Girl, she's in the movie for like, what, 2.5 minutes?
It's all about her, though.
And, I mean, like, dude, Oscar nom level. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I want more of it.
It's really good.
Yes,
It is really good.
I saw the clip of her on the balcony with the drink a lot during the pandemic. Of how is it going? Me. With the drink.
That's sad.
But like, okay, so I was gagged. Both of us, we were like,
I don't think it was going to open with a suicide.
I was like, not jumping off your Park Avenue.
It's intense, isn't it?
and we were like admiring that view of like, we were like, what do you think this goes for?
Work Stockard Channing. This apartment's cute.
And don't you just totally relate when she first steps out and she sees her neighbor on the stair stepper, like waving at her, like hi, and she's just like
shut up,
puffing her cigarette. It's like, yes, girl,
totally. So that was crazy. But that also leads us. We'll get back to the husbands, but I forgot, and I would be remiss if we did not mention the opening scene with the voiceover.
Well,
the dubbed actress.
You could even start at the title sequence.
The title sequence is wild.
Yeah. I was like, is this the right? Do we download the right First Wives? Because I
miss title sequences in movies.
I do. I love an animated title sequence. We got a cool 60s Dionne Warwick song.
What is that art style called?
Liechtenstein.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
It's Liechtenstein
pop
inspired.
Art. Yeah, pop art. Liechtenstein. Yeah, totally. But yeah, we got much like My Best Friend's Wedding. We get a 60s Dionne Warwick song in there, which was really good. But yeah, we start off them. It's their college graduation.
Yes.
Right. And I was like, oh, they dubbed their voice.
They picked good lookalikes.
They did.
I will
they
say,
did.
yeah.
It's always really weird in movies when you hear clearly this is Goldie Hawn.
It's a little funny, but the thing is, I think Bette Midler especially has such a distinctive voice.
Yes.
That it's like, okay, all right, and you can't just do one of them.
Is it any worse than any worse than the Photoshop job from the opening of Book Club?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess nowadays they could have de-aged them or something. I don't know.
Right. No, I think this is better than de-aging. Yeah, de-aging is the worst. But it's like, they famously did this in A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
With Geena Davis and the actress that the older Geena Davis. And so, yeah, I like that they went ahead and just got different actors and didn't just tape their faces back and put them in like bouffant hairdos.
Right.
And
no.
Here you are in the 1970.
That would have been kind of funny though.
It would have
been kind of. It would have been very Betty Davis, Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Yeah. Or a little Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yes.
But yeah. So it starts off with this, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm dealing with it. And then we get Stockard Channing just being glamorous and tragic.
It's
and just
so good. So good.
Throwing herself on
nightgown and a mink coat. I mean, on a Manhattan balcony.
Oh my God! Overlooking the park.
It doesn't get much better there.
Yeah.
Much more.
Oh, and then at her funeral, I guess the whole thing is that her husband's cheating on her with a younger woman, and we find out that the younger woman is none other than Heather Locklear.
Heather Locklear.
I was going to say, who is it? It's Heather Locklear.
Credited Heather
Yes,
Locklear.
with no dialogue.
Yeah. Just sitting there having this man grope her boob.
Yes.
In a church.
In your ex-wife's funeral.
Yeah.
Sleazeball.
I was like, so now she's coming down the church aisle to sit down in the pew, and I was just like, well, she looks 45. Because 90s fashion and 90s style aged you, especially.
And Heather Locklear's also looked like that since the 80s.
True,
since
I would say,
since T.J. Hooker.
Right.
Yes, she looked. I think all through the 80s and 90s, Heather Locklear hovered around 41, just like visually.
Right. I mean, she looks great.
She looked great. No, she's beautiful. She's Heather Locklear. Come on.
I mean,
but it's so funny that she's like this like young hot like mistress, and you're just like, okay. I mean, it's Heather Locklear, but I don't get young. Is that a read? Maybe. I think Elizabeth Berkley pulls it off. She's going over the top with like.
Well, this was Elizabeth Berkley's like total overacting phase.
Right after Showgirls.
Showgirls.
Yeah. We were saying Elizabeth Berkley's hair.
We were discussing the hair situation in Elizabeth Berkley because when you watch her seasons of Saved by the Bell, she has this beautiful long curly hair.
Right.
And then when you get to Showgirls, it's just, I think that they just overprocess it with bleach.
Yeah.
And it just kind of killed a lot of the curls.
Well, and any kind of heat too.
Yeah.
Nobody curly
Vegas,
hair. It just fries.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we set up that all three of these girls, they meet.
They drifted apart throughout the years
from being college best friends,
and then they reunite at the funeral.
And we find out that they have
which you know what is something that I wouldn't have got a few years ago, like 10 years ago, but it is kind of scary. Of funerals do reunite friends
for sure.
Of that when you kind of get in that place in your life when you do start drifting apart.
Yeah, weddings and funerals.
Yeah, weddings and funerals.
They bring back memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And something like your college friends, and you're getting to this age now, Scott, where you're just like, how long has it been? What high school reunion are you coming up on? not to call you out or put you on blast, but
20.
Yeah,
yep.
So okay, Diane Keaton's character is named Annie, and she is the neurotic one. Is that fair?
She's neurotic, but she's also kind of the quote unquote sweet one.
Right. She doesn't drink.
Yeah. Right. She's the more romantic one, I guess.
I could
the
see,
Rose Island.
Okay,
Rose
so
Island.
I could see this role being the one of when you're casting it, that you could trade this part out with a lot of different people. That I think that Bette and Goldie's roles are very Bette and Goldie types. Probably first offered to them, and they took it. I could see the Dianne Keaton role being the one that you could switch out with other people.
Okay.
Do you kind of get that?
I do, but I think you need a strong comedic actress for it.
Yeah.
Because it's very broad.
Yes.
In her like neuroses of
Dianne can play comedy.
And no, Diane's great.
Great comedian.
She's super funny. But why don't you say what you were going to say?
Well,
about the Goldie character?
About the casting?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I researched is that they originally were going to go with Jessica Lange.
Yeah, that's what
for
Goldie.
Elise.
For Goldie.
For Elise,
yes.
I mean, I guess I could see it.
I guess. I love Jessica Lange, worship her.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her be super funny.
Right.
Even in Tootsie.
Yeah.
It would be... I mean, it would be kind of cool to see her play a character this broad.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where was she in the 90s?
I mean, she had just won for Blue Sky in 95.
Oh, geez.
Probably around the time that this movie was being developed.
I think this was her Blanche Dubois years, wasn't it? When she was doing the Broadway revival and the made-for-TV
Broadway
movie.
revival.
Yeah.
I think that... I think Hush... I think cinematic masterpiece Hush came out in 98 with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, you're right. She was doing stage work at the time.
Okay.
I think so.
So that's probably why she didn't do it.
Okay. But I think Dianne Keaton does she does a great job as Annie. But her character, I guess, does she work? Does she not work?
I think she kind of worked with her husband's ad agency, kind of.
Sure. Yeah,
they're loaded.
Maybe that's how
they're all loaded.
They're all
loaded.
My God. These
apartments. And I like Annie's house better than Elise's.
I do too. Yeah, I did too. The beginning. I think that Annie is a little so A, we established neurotic. B, she's super wishy-washy because she and this is where the daughter that's a lesbian.
Right.
That's why the daughter's so mad
Chris.
at the husband because they are separated, but Annie still keeps hanging out with him. Right? And I think that's the daughter's just like, you need to not hang out with that man. And then we get the joke of like, well, it's your dad.
Progressive for the time to have a lesbian daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
very accepting.
And she seemed very cool with it.
She's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very
We get the cute scene at the lesbian bar.
Great nowadays.
They're not predatory like they were years ago.
And this girl bar that they go to later on, I was like,
God.
work. This is a
that lesbian bar
Manhattan lesbian
pretty
bar.
lit.
Yeah. That shit was on fire. Yeah. So, and she doesn't live with her mother, but her mother's kind of a presence that's not overbearing.
A Sophia Petrillo.
A Sophia Petrillo type. Yeah. She's not overbearing, but she very much has a lot to say.
Played by Eileen Heckart. She was nominated for The Bad Seed. She has the one big scene of The Bad Seed that she got an Oscar nomination for.
Crazy. Love it. And then I mean we have to mention this right off the bat, and then we won't have to talk about it too much. But Annie's husband is played by
Creep Stephen Collins from
yeah.
Seventh Heaven.
Yuck.
So there's that. And he is in he's got an advertising
He
agency
is like co-owner of an advertising agency,
partner,
yeah,
something like that. And they've got a great place. And she's in therapy, and the therapist is Marsha Gay Harden, who looks fierce.
I like to think that a big part of Annie's character arc was that she was a career woman, and she pretty much left it when she became a wife and a mom.
Right.
I mean, she probably met her husband through advertising.
I mean, if he is that successful that he's got his partners and he's putting them in this, brownstone or whatever it is that they're living in, this cool 2-story apartment in Manhattan, cool.
Yeah.
I'll raise the kid.
Yeah. I mean,
you bring in those coins. So Goldie is a famous movie actress.
right.
Her character is Elise.
I was trying
Elise Elliott.
I was trying to gauge the type of success of Elise Elliott, and then I saw the Oscar, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay."
Yes.
But I guess the joke is that she won the Oscar, and then she kind of followed it up with all of the schlock.
Or she started with the schlock and that got her going?
Sure.
It can go either way.
At the divorce proceedings, or at one of the things with like the lawyers and stuff, they were naming the fictitious movies that she was in.
Yes. And which I would watch any one of those, I have to be honest.
They sounded like they were taking titles of real movies and kind of mix and matching.
Oh, see, I think they all kind of sound like Harlequin romance novels.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Isn't it like
too,
Inner Urges?
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I got like Body of Something and Something of Evidence.
Animal
and,
Nature.
Animal Nature.
In which he played an extremely sensual veterinarian.
Do you think that Oscar was actually Goldie's that they used? Could have been.
It would have been cute if it was.
Would have been very cute.
And then, so what does Bette say? What does it say? Oh, it says, I beat Meryl.
Which Jennifer Lawrence said that in her press when she won for
and
Silver
everyone
Linings.
called her out on it. Everyone was like, she's quoting First Wives Club. It's like, come up with your own original stuff, Jennifer.
But did people not get it, or did people call her out on it because they thought it was just not funny? Because that would suck if they were like...
I think people got it.
Oh, okay.
In the interviews I got, they were like, oh, that was a First Wives Club reference.
Okay, got it. Okay. Although we only read gay press, so... So they all...
Isn't E! News gay press?
Yeah, absolutely. And Entertainment Weekly is pretty much just a drag queen recap magazine now.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, it's all gay press. And Goldie, Elise Elliott was married to
Victor Garber.
Famous homosexual Victor Garber. Yes.
Husband Bill.
And
yes.
I love how Victor Garber at like the divorce proceedings and stuff just has this shit-eating grin on his face the whole time.
Oh my God.
Just smirking at her. And just
it's so hard. It's like, God, if you weren't Victor Garber, I would hate you so much.
Totally that. Yeah. Like, all right. And so the thing is, they're like a movie producing like power couple. He produces the movies, she stars in them, but her whole thing is like, he'd be nothing without me. Like, he's producing my movies,
right?
And now he's trying to, take off in this career,
use it as leverage in the divorce,
and then also asking her for alimony, and I think really, if they didn't have Elise on their side, there would be no First Wives Club. Because she is bankrolling this entire thing.
Right. And she even says that at one point. She's like, this is my life, okay?
Yeah.
My money.
Yeah, seriously.
And definitely...
she has a point.
Yeah, and definitely like a rich person's move of, don't I own that warehouse that's just vacant right now?
Yeah.
I think so.
I've got
that building I own downtown in downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
Building.
Yeah. Although it does, with like the cobblestone streets and stuff, I was like, this is probably in the meatpacking district, which in '96 was not fashionable and probably still pretty scary.
Sam Jones had yet to move in.
Yeah. Samantha Jones is not there quite yet, and neither is Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
This is only like 2 years before Sex and the City.
Yeah, 96.
Which is crazy. But yeah, so that's their whole thing. But I think it is a genius thing that he was like, sell off the art collection and like give me half the money. And she's like, all right, bitch.
Which my day job is at an auction house, and literally I think of that scene where she's sweeping out everything every single day at work. There's the Liechtenstein, the Lampika, the Ming vase,
the Fabergé eggs. Not the Fabergé eggs. I have to say the scheme at the auction house when Goldie's bidding to get Sarah Jessica Parker to bid, to like goad her into bidding.
Right.
But then we get the secret Bette Midler in the back bidding with the Ivana Trump wig. Yeah. I was like, yes!
Perfect.
That was great.
And then she's got Guanilla, Maggie Smith, and Bronson Pinchot there to push her even more. The topper at the very end is just perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Jackie I had one just like it. That would make me bid on something too, to be honest.
I was thinking, though, I was like, would that make Sarah Jessica Parker's character bid? Does she care about Jackie O? I don't know. But
she thinks
I bet SJP
But
does.
she thinks that other people care about Jackie O. Because she's a social
her whole
climber.
thing is social climber. Yeah. Love it. Okay. Another question about hair. We were like, is Sarah Jessica Parker wearing a wig?
That's a wig.
I think
that's a wig.
Yeah, because I know they can do wonders with like straightening hair, but it just didn't look like the color was weird.
I'm very familiar with when they would straighten Carrie's hair in
and
Sex
how
and
it
the
looked,
City, and how it looked, and it did not look like that.
I think it was a wig too. Okay, so that's Elise, and then finally we have Bette Midler as
Brenda.
I think Brenda's my favorite character of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Bette.
She has the best one-liners, for sure.
She does. And were some of them ad-libbed? I don't know, maybe.
I think a lot of it was probably Paul.
Okay.
Paul
Yeah.
Rudnick
Yeah.
in his rewrite.
Sure. And Brenda is, I would say, a housewife, right?
Yeah.
And her husband, Morty, Dan Hedaya, is kind of like a furniture king, kind of like a
Basically.
self-made. He's got like local commercials, multiple stores across the tri-state area, and selling gray market home electronics and
I don't know if
furniture.
this is the type of lifestyle that could support a giant apartment in New York, maybe a
Which-
nice house in Jersey.
Of the three of them, Brenda has like the quaintest apartment.
Right, her
Yeah.
yeah. And well,
And they make
that's
a
her
big
whole
deal
thing,
of that.
too.
And Brenda's all like, she's the tightest of the.
I got to get a job
financially,
at
yeah.
McDonald's. Yeah.
Well, and she works with Bronson Pinchot.
Oh, that's what the relationship was. I was like, are they just friends? Is he like
her
gay bestie?
Yeah, she works for Eduardo
Okay,
Feliz.
Eduardo Feliz.
One of the worst
Got it.
interior decorators in New York City.
That they trick Morty and SJP into thinking he's the best decorator
Exactly.
in New York City. I love that. Okay, great. And they have their son who's about to be bar mitzvahed, and all that stuff's really cute. Where they're just like, okay, her little home life it's nice, but it's
I like
more
that
of a
we got
modest
I like
apartment.
that we got the scenes with the son. Too.
Yeah.
That's real sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like, fuck you, Mom. Like, he was just like, all right.
Right.
Like, I'll
Kind of
He's 13.
grounded.
I'll try to learn Hebrew.
Kind of grounded the movie a little bit of
Yeah.
just kind of divorce on a child too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
And her
so-
husband Dan Hedaya.
And her husband, Dan Hedaya,
Yep.
who's great. And again, I guess SJP is just that much of a social climber that she's like, yes, Morty, you are a very sexy man. Because, I mean, no shade to Dan Hedaya. We love you, but...
Is he SJP material?
I don't know.
Yeah. Could he compete with Aiden and Big?
Right. Yeah. I think she's just using him for, as a launching pad for these. She just sees dollar signs when she sees Morty.
Yeah.
Because the apartment that they have together. Oh my God!
I was thinking of
that staircase.
I was
though?
thinking of how tacky the house is in Ruthless People.
Oh sure.
Yeah, it's very mid-century modern tacky.
Yeah.
Post mid-century, yeah.
Yeah, that staircase. I was like, I don't know if this is up to code.
Yeah.
I feel like I would.
It kind of sways as you're walking up it.
Lose
Right.
my life on the
Right.
staircase one day. But so they just all kind of decide that they have had it with kind of being taken advantage of, and they're going to, create this First Wives Club. We don't know what we're going to do with the club, but we're not gonna take it anymore. So this is where they kind of start scheming, and like we said, it's a lot of it is hinging on Elise and her cash flow. Right.
Which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of a staple
Yeah.
of comedies. You have to have somebody rich to kind of
Yeah.
support all of the shenanigans that goes on in the script.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe that is why they made Victor Garber kind of such a son of a bitch right
Yes.
off the bat.
Right.
Yeah.
So when she does start taking everything away,
You're cool with
that
it.
you're cool.
You don't
yeah,
care.
Yeah. And that was another thing too. When we first see Elizabeth Berkley, I was like, I guess it's implied that he's sleeping with her, but she was just rehearsing.
Yeah, I mean...
And,
yeah, and then they run up and do their thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and when she came in and she was just like, "Oh my God, Elise, I love you," and like we should do this movie together and all that
She's at
stuff.
the performance at the end of the movie.
And she's at
So-
the thing at the end.
Maybe they weren't.
So I feel like
Maybe they stayed friends.
yeah, I feel like that character they were trying not to make it like she's this horrible person.
Right.
Like
She's just
yeah.
a dumb young girl.
Yes, yeah. And we find out how young.
Yes.
Later on. But I think with certain people, it's like, okay, they're going to get their comeuppance. Marcia Gay Harden's kind of like up her own ass with like the therapy and all that stuff, doing this stuff, which could she get her, her license taken away? Maybe.
I hope so.
Because that shit is
Fucked.
pretty rotted. Yeah. Yeah, pretty rotted what she did to Diane Keaton. But, yeah, so I think with the I was thinking about that with the Elizabeth Berkley character, I was like, I think she's a little bit more innocent in all of this. Mm-hmm. I think she was just kind of hanging out with Victor Garber because he's a big shot producer. She's just like, I need to be in these movies. I'm 16.
I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, if
21.
You're trying to break into movies, sleep with a rich producer.
Yeah. But when we go in and just start, pulling out his and then at one point I think it's when they go to the loft and Elizabeth Berkley's there, and he says, "I'll sue you," and I was
I'll break you.
Yeah.
No, that's when they're trying to steal. They steal his Lamborghini.
Car,
his Lamborghini.
But he says, "I'll sue you," and I was like, "Well, you are suing her. You're getting a divorce. That's what divorce is. You're suing someone." I think he's the one that's doing kind of the most shady stuff. Well, I guess it's not really that shady because they do say that they don't find anything bad on him.
Right. Well, and Bette's whole point is that he just has this great lawyer that's making all these crazy demands.
I mean, all the character doing all of the shady, illegal stuff is Dianne Hedaya.
Right.
And he is, I guess we find out, that a lot of his merchandise was stolen at some point.
From Brenda's family who was in the mob.
Right. I was going to say, there's a mob connection with Bette, which I love.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Uncle Carmine.
Yeah. Diane Keaton's like, I love Uncle Carmine. What was Diane Keaton's husband doing that was shady?
Well, they didn't have shade on him, but they knew how to get at him. Well, I mean, he was sleeping with their therapist. That's pretty shady.
There you go. Yeah.
Sure.
That's the part that we're just like,
that's pretty fucked.
Yeah. Like that guy.
No, but what they have on him is that his partners are trying to sell their part of his advertising agency. Okay. So if Annie was able to get it, they would have controlling interest over his business. So basically have full control over him. Okay.
And so then the big overarching scheme is that they sell off all of the assets from Goldie's marriage at the auction, get all this money. No, they sell it to Diane Keaton for $1.
Yes.
And Diane Keaton sells it, and she gets the money.
Right. And that's how she's able to pay. That's how she's able to buy the ad agency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Genius. I love it. Because, at one point she says, we sold for a very reasonable price or whatever, and then we find out it's $1.
And Goldie's like, here's your half.
Yeah.
That's some
take the whole $1.
That's some Gwyneth Paltrow moves right there.
Right?
What do you mean?
Gwyneth Paltrow, the lawsuit for $1.
Oh yeah, the lawsuit for the $1.
The whole skiing accident.
I love it.
Perfect.
That's some rich bitch shit right there. I'm countersuing you for
it's the principle.
$1. Yeah. I wish you well.
I mean, it's the Brentwood. Bless your heart.
Did you read that Gwyneth is putting up a guest house?
I saw that today.
A guest house on her Hampton
She's doing
property.
an Airbnb.
Oh, and you can Airbnb it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's going to come and have dinner with you.
Is that part of it?
Yes.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Oh.
Is this going to be what we're going to be using our Patreon money for?
I would love to have a cute dinner with old Goopy at her
Fuck yeah, I would.
in her guest house. But is it crazy expensive though? Is it probably?
I didn't look at the price. I just saw it.
It was this morning. I saw it on the morning news today.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is breaking. Breaking news.
I think if you
Trump's indicted and Gwyneth Paltrow.
I think
on Airbnb.
I think that if Gwyneth found out that 3 homosexuals had bid on this and gotten this Airbnb and is having dinner, I think she would be like, hell yeah.
She make it a really cute dinner.
I think she would go all out.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. Do we get free vagina candles? I mean,
I take them.
I think that those need to be thrown in. Mm-hmm. I would negotiate for a free vagina candle. But,
I want whatever bullshit gym bag is on.
For sure.
Yeah,
you would definitely steal the shampoos and stuff from that Airbnb, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, all right, screw the gay cruise. We're going to Gwyneth's. we're putting our vacation fund towards the Hamptons. I think it's in the Hamptons. I don't know.
Yes.
The picture looked very Hamptons-esque from what I saw. But, yeah. But that's neither here nor there. I can talk about visiting Gwyneth Paltrow's Hamptons and it's a guest house too.
Yeah.
But I mean, a guest house owned by Gwyneth. It's probably
I take it.
Probably pretty fab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can make that work.
So kind of what are the elements of this movie that kind of cement it as a gay camp classic? I guess maybe not camp, but I mean, it's the three of them.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it's women getting back at dick dudes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see a cat fight throwing Golden Globes in this movie. It's like, is that just not something that a gay man wrote? Like hurtling your Golden Globe. Okay, so if you were going to throw something at someone, you're going to want to pick up either the Emmy because it's spiky.
Because it's spiky. Yes, I thought of that too.
I mean, the Golden Globe does have.
The Emmy looks heavy. It'd be hard to throw that at somebody.
Yeah.
You'd have to use two hands.
You want to? I mean, if something goes wrong with that Emmy, that is murder.
Yeah,
that Emmy is like two knives going straight.
If that gets it like at somebody's eye or something,
you're going to give him a good bruise with the Golden
wings,
Globe.
You could lose an eye with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Emmy, I feel like the Emmy's off the table. It is too dangerous. That's like just throwing an axe at someone. So I think you go Golden Globe, which they're heavy. It's got the big blunt globe at the end.
Right. The ball.
You could also, kill somebody with the marble base of those.
They drill the marble.
For that, I think you'd have to like candlestick and clue it. Where you actually hit them with it rather than just
and I
throw
can't
it at
remember if at this time, because they did a remodel of the trophy in the 2000s. I can't remember if they made it a circular or the square base, but they remodeled it a little bit.
Oh, I don't remember.
Interesting.
I want to say this was
the
back
only
when
ones
it
I've
was
ever seen
square.
have still been square.
Okay, a square pedestal.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and it's a little taller now, isn't it? Yeah.
The Oscar that Bette Midler's holding, if it is Goldie's,
I bet it's real.
It probably could be, but I was thinking it looks small. I was like, that looks kind of flimsy, but maybe the base might have been smaller at the time when she got it. When was Cactus Flower? 1970s?
1969.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
So she would have won it in 70.
Yeah. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So maybe they were a little smaller then. Is it filled with chocolate? But I was like, Bette Midler's the only one that doesn't have an Oscar.
I know, scandalously.
She's gotten close.
Sure.
For the boys.
And of the three of them, Bette's the only one with the Tony.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Sure. And she probably has a handful of Grammys.
Tons.
I would imagine. So who of them have Emmys? Probably
Bette.
Oh,
Bette has
I'm
an Emmy.
Sure, Bette has an Emmy somewhere. I should have gotten these stacks.
Yeah. That's probably only an Oscar away from an EGOT. Then
that's been said about Bette Midler. That she's only the Oscar away from an EGOT.
Oh, she can get an Oscar for something. It's Bette Midler. Come on.
Well, in an interview, she was really sad. She was like, "I've just accepted that it's not going to happen." I know, and I'm like,
"What are both her Oscar nominations? It's for The Boys and
The Rose.
The Rose. Yep. Yeah. Probably she got the closest for The Rose.
Probably.
Who won that year?
Sally.
I read that Bette was trying to get Sally Field for the Diane Keaton role.
Yes. I don't think Bette wanted
Sally.
her for the.
Oh, was it Goldie?
Goldie, because Goldie and Sally are friends.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
I could see Sally as the Diane Keaton role.
I could too.
Like I said, I think that you could plug in a lot of different actresses in that role, and it would have worked.
Okay, all right. And I mean, now Sally's in like 80 for Brady. You know what?
She's embraced the book club era.
We watched 80 for Brady.
Old lady cinema.
Yep. Book club cinema. And her character did mention a couple of times, I'm not actually 80. And I was like, all right, you better work Sally Field because you're not 80. So that was good. But yeah, I think Sally's funny. She could do funny.
Yeah,
she could do
for
drama.
sure.
So that would have.
I mean, God knows she can be neurotic, soap dish.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Oh, soap dish. We haven't watched that one in a while. Aww. That one's one that we never really revisit enough.
How can you?
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered it on the show.
Yeah, we covered it on the show, but I feel like there are movies that we just every now and then we'll just put them on, and we never really think like, let's just watch soap dish.
There's a screening of it coming up.
Oh, I love that. Where is it?
I want to say it's on the Cinematheque calendar.
Oh, okay. Cool. Love that. All right. So
throwing the awards.
Yeah, you're talking about just the script and just like
a bitch fight throwing Golden Globes.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I like that famously this movie has like a it has a musical element to it. Right?
Oh, for sure.
And the big like
it ends with
there was a successful stage adaptation of this, right?
I don't know how successful it was.
But there was.
I mean,
retool that shit for Broadway
over and over and over.
Put it back on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, if they're gonna do Bet movies as musicals, where is Beaches the musical?
Oh my God! You know what I would do is I would go to see the show that Bette Midler's character was in. Industry,
sure. Yeah.
In Beaches, I want to go see that. I'll just go watch that because Industry was good. I love that was on the soundtrack. My stepmother had the Beaches soundtrack on CD, and we had just gotten a CD player. We got a 5-disc CD changer, and they got the Beaches soundtrack and the Best of Fleetwood Mac. Oh, when I tell you, I would just like lay on the couch and at my dad's house and just like let this adult contemporary music wash over me. And the fact that Industry full 3-minute song was on the Beaches soundtrack, I was like, love. Also, the Otto Titzling was on there. And yeah, me and my like 10, 11-year-old self was just like, work, Bette Midler. Love it.
This movie has the film debut of Timothy Olyphant.
Really?
Oh,
I think it was his first movie, and this came out the year before Scream 2.
Interesting.
I mean, I feel like Scream 2 kind of introduced all of us to Timothy Olyphant, but how do you like that? Timothy Olyphant. Screen debut.
Oh. He was looking very cute.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay.
Hair looked very 90s.
25. His hair looked very
90s. And his character he was a hotshot director that...
Sure. Yeah.
Was
he just meeting with Goldie for a role?
Yeah.
He was meeting her for a role that she wanted, and she found out that he wanted her as the mother of the lead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, I think he was...
Monique's mother.
But I think he was kind of offering her something that she might have wanted to think about.
Well, she did.
Yeah,
eventually.
At the end, right? She did come around to it, but I think that he was like, "It's going to be stripped down," and I mean, he was being not as tactful as he could have been in explaining it, because he was saying like grotesque.
Yes, bring out every wrinkle, every crack.
I mean, it could have gotten the second Oscar.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. For a glamorous actress to do the monster Charlize Theron bit, we know that kind of like that wins the awards.
Maybe if they do a sequel, they'll find out that Goldie did take the role and won her second Oscar.
Yeah, there you go. Maxine's mother,
Monique's
mother. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, I was like, I think you should consider this. Because I like where he's going with it. He's not saying it right, but I think that's something that Hollywood would kind of say, like, "Wow, what a brave
director.
choice!"
Yes.
So brave of Elise.
Yes,
so brave of Elise to like strip down. Hollywood loves that shit. So it's like if she would have thought about it that way, which ultimately I think like we say she does, but yeah, Timothy Olyphant was looking very, very cute as a hotshot director.
Yeah.
What do we think of Sarah Jessica Parker's performance?
It's cute.
It's funny.
Cute. Yeah.
Sarah can do this type of role well.
Yes.
New York wannabe New York socialite.
But kind of a dummy, too.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the perfect cross between Hocus Pocus and Sex and the City.
Okay. Yeah. I really loved her in L.A. Story with Steve Martin, where she plays a ditz. But she's playing a very L.A. like New Age ditz.
Right.
I like the New York social climber aspect of it. Am I making things up when I feel like she was doing... Who is in The Women?
The Women is... Are you talking about the remake?
Yeah.
The Dianne English remake?
Yeah.
I mean... That's like Meg Ryan.
Yeah, that's
Annette
not her.
Bening.
She would have been too old for that.
Yeah.
But I was like, weren't there kind of characters that were like the young, sexy girls in that?
Well, that's like
Eva Mendes.
That's the Eva Mendes.
Eva Mendes. Crystal Allen.
Eva Mendes is playing the Joan Crawford character.
Right.
Okay.
That's the thing about The Women.
I think I'm thinking of First Wives Club.
I can't stand that remake.
I was going to say, The Women is not a great movie, but I do give it to that movie that the casting is very interesting. We talked about that on our... The Women, we did the old women.
Classic.
And that I think the casting kind of works for all of those roles.
The Classic is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's so good.
Yeah, you're asking the
not
wrong
a lot of
person
people. Not a lot of people talk about the remake, though.
No,
for good reason.
Yeah.
Though I did have to go and see it in theaters and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like Debbie Mazar as the nail girl.
Mm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Does she say Jungle Red?
I like Cloris Leachman.
Yeah, Cloris Leachman. Oh man, I haven't watched it all the way through. I think I've just like talked about it with you.
Yeah, it's
You're
pretty
like,
bad.
don't bother.
It's kind of laborious. Not great.
Okay, but there's no men in the whole movie. Did you know that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, that's the whole gag. Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker, I think is it's a fun character. It's supposed to be
they
like,
make the character just awful enough
Yes.
that they don't quite take her to a place where it's really unlikable.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that just when you get that with Sarah is that I think that Sarah is just naturally such a charismatic person that she can make a character like that land.
I mean, she's just trying to find a rich husband.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And I mean, she does make some remarks to Brenda about her weight.
Yes, that's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
That's pretty ugly.
But, oh, yeah.
And she's pretty ugly with Morty at the end.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm sorry, $300,000 for an auction Lamborghini. It's like, that's, I mean, granted, we know it did belong to Victor Garber, but it's like a Lamborghini at an auction, that's a drug Lamborghini.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're paying $300 for a drug Lamborghini?
You're going to be getting the owner
$300,000, I mean?
chasing you down the street.
Yeah.
Like in the
bad.
Simpsons episode where they get the car from the auction.
And she's like, it was only $300,000. I was like, what?
It was a gift.
It was a gift to you. He's like, with my money. And that's when we're just like, how many stores does Morty have?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is that he's doing pretty well for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Macy's and Morty's.
I could see this affording a great lifestyle in Long Island.
Yeah.
A beautiful house in Long Island.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like, and granted, he was giving her hell for buying all this
For
stuff,
sure.
$40,000 for a used rug.
$50,000 for a plate.
A plate, but it's Japanese.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And working in the auction world, this shit happens.
Oh yeah. I do like that because they went so hard on Brenda's kind of like dressing her down at the beginning,
Right.
that I was just like, oh man, Bette Midler's looking rough.
I
But
like
it's for
the brown
character.
hair though.
No, yeah, the hair looks good. Although it is a little matronly. I feel like for 45, it's like, yeah, she has a kid, but he's only 12. He's only going to be 13. The hair was she was giving me the most like, you look like you're in your 50s, lady.
Yeah.
Diane Keaton as well. I was like, you look like you're in your 50s. But I do like that she was like, oh, look at this. Look, I fit into this. I fit into this outfit now.
Yeah.
Like, and they didn't give her the classic Bette Midler, because this happens to Bette Midler a lot. Her weight is often a character note.
Right.
In movies.
Which I don't get why. But.
Why? She's completely like a little tiny person. Like, she's in no way like heavy or overweight or anything, but in everything, even in big business where it's not really that much of a character note. She has an argument with a sales girl in the store, just like over the size of the dress. Very well, bring me a 9.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they didn't have like a montage of her like on the treadmill.
Right.
All of a sudden one day she was just like, look, I fit into this now.
Well, and she even is like, because she gives Goldie a little slack, like, Elise, you climb and you don't get anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't you frustrated?
Yeah. I come up with my best ideas when I'm exercising. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funny. You climb and you climb. You don't get anywhere. Very, very Sisyphus.
I wonder what the dynamic was with all of these three on set. I just want to overhear a conversation. At like craft service.
Well,
do you think
as much as I love Bette Midler, there is the famous Outrageous Fortune kind of like
Shelley Long
kind of
2 very strong personalities that didn't get along.
I was going to
say Shelley Long does have a reputation for being a little...
Shelley Long is very classic type A. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're pretty much their characters from Outrageous Fortune.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why that movie works.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think there are things in the IMDb trivia about this. I think I read something that Bronson Pinchot said in an interview later on that Bette Midler wasn't the nicest person to work with on the set.
I mean,
which is unfortunate. But,
unfortunate. I mean, all I've ever read and seen of Goldie is that she's like this ball of sunshine.
Right.
Yes.
So. Right. I think, and Dianne Keaton, I think, is just like, maybe she's a little kooky, but I can't see her
and I think
like,
Dianne isn't like an engager. I think she probably just finished her take and went back to her dressing room.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely how Dianne does press for all of this.
For sure.
We were watching the Oprah interview. That was the First Wives Club. They're on Oprah, and you could just kind of tell with Dianne Keaton of that.
She's like,
okay, get this over with. But that's how kind of Dianne does all of her press.
Right. She would laugh at their little anecdotes, but she had a little look in her eye that was like, these two.
And it also didn't help that Bette looks like she's on at like 10 in that interview.
Yeah.
It was
the blonde Bette.
Yep.
It was very blonde Bette. Yeah. 97. But yeah, so it does seem like it. I feel like Goldie might have been a little bit more of like calming, kind of just she's
Buddhist.
She's kind of
I think that she gets along with both of them pretty equally, and she can kind of moderate it. I mean, we all saw this during the 97 Academy Awards when they're presenting Best Original Song to Andrew Lloyd Webber, and you get the famous Barbra Streisand. Streisand or Streisand? It's Streisand.
Miss Hahn, a former Oscar winner herself, will kindly recite. Thank you. From Up Close and Personal, Because You Love Me, music and lyric by Dianne Warren. From One Fine Day, for the first time, music and lyric by James Newton Howard, Judd J. Friedman, and Alan Dennis Rich. From The Mirror Has Two Faces, I Finally Found Someone. Oh, I love that. Music and lyric by Barbra Streisand, Marvin Hamlish, Streisand. God, I've known her for 25 years. Barbra Streisand, Marvin Hamlish, Bryan Adams, and Robert Mutt Lang. I think I know Mutt, too. Okay.
Sand, like sand on the beach.
But just classic Bette to correct her mid, like as she's presenting.
It's kind of awkward and it's kind of tense.
Yeah,
because Goldie's like, I've known her for 25 years. I think I know how to pronounce
Bette is that type of woman that will call you out as you're presenting.
Of course,
like as you're midway through.
Yeah.
Well, and of course Goldie is like sweet the whole time. She's like, oh, and From the Mirror Has Two Faces. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
song.
I love that. That's the best when she stops and just like, I love this.
Goldie is like that classic presenter of that whenever you see her at like the Golden Globes or something. Give me like a movie title, like from the 90s.
Beaches.
That's the 80s.
That's the 80s.
No, from like The English Patient.
Right.
Of just sort of Jerry Maguire. Just kind of like that,
emphasis.
Just that cadence of presenting.
Well, you know, I feel...
or my favorite is when she... I forget what year it was, but it was the year of 12 Years a Slave, and she's like, 12 years a slave.
That's it. Yep. It's that it's that type of style.
So to me, I've always gotten when she does, not press, but like award shows, things like that, she's still giving laughing tattooed lady like like ditzy kind of airhead like that. She's still giving that like that's my persona. I'm just the like giggly like, and it's fine. It's cute. It's Goldie. I love it.
Right. There
is an interview, and I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I'll never forget it. And it's Goldie Hawn, and it's the Arsenio Hall show. And she's sitting down, and Arsenio is asking her questions. And he's like, Goldie, that is such an interesting name. Goldie. Have you always been Goldie? And she goes into this whole thing of just like, about like, she's just always been me, and this is my personality, and I've always been a bubbly person, and I just love everybody, and I love the universe, and I'm just Goldie, and that's just who I am, and I can just not be me. And he's like, "Oh, girl, I meant your name. Like, did your mom name you Goldie?"
I was going to say, is that her real name?
That was the question. But she took it as like,
Have you always been golden?
What kind of tree would you be? And like,
are you always this Sunny and Goldie?
He meant, have you always been you? Or she took it as that. But his question was, what the hell kind of name is Goldie? Which is like, all right, Arsenio.
Right.
And the audience laughed and laughed, and she laughed. She thought it was the funniest thing. And I was a big Arsenio Hall watcher in the 90s. And I wonder if it's on YouTube. We'll have to look it up. But I always thought that was the funniest thing. Because it's so her. Just like, oh, I don't know. And just like going off and answering a funny...
Goldie is her real name?
Yeah, she was born.
Oh, okay.
Goldie Jean Hahn.
All right. I love it. And now she's Mrs. Claus. I mean, bitch, this whole like Kurt Russell situation that she's got going on, work.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're treasures.
It's like, how could you not be like the model couple for every other person in the world?
We should be so lucky to
and
have
it's like,
a relationship
you do
like
have
those
each other.
two.
Whether or not they are actually married and this is all just a ruse and tax purposes, and who cares? They're Kurt and Goldie. They're making it work. Like, love it.
Love it.
Love it. Love Kate. Love Oliver.
We watched on
Love Wyatt.
TCM a few months ago the Jonathan Demme movie that they first made with each other.
Yes.
Swing Shift.
Swing Shift. I had never heard of it.
Yeah.
I got home from
They're
work
both so
late,
young.
and I
They're
noticed
so young and they're so
that I
cute
was like,
in
"What
that
is this Kurt and Goldie movie
Yeah.
on TCM?" I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like reading up about it. Of that, apparently the studio took the cut away from Jonathan Demme, and he doesn't really like talk about it.
Right.
He wasn't really
That's
all that.
basically
he
all it's
wasn't-
remembered for. Is
He wasn't
Yeah.
really
it brought-
all that
it
proud
brought
of
Kurt and
it.
Goldie together.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, it's the movie that they fell in love on.
know.
And it's a World War II movie. She's like a Rosie the Riveter.
Right.
And she's working in a factory building airplanes with Kurt.
I told you that my mother, when she was a teenager, was on It's a Small World at Disneyland, and she looked behind her, and Kurt Russell was sitting behind her in the boat.
And she's probably relatively close in
A couple
age
years younger than him,
to Kurt, too. Yeah.
She said she was like in junior high school, and she turned around and was like,
So he would have been a really cute.
Yeah.
He would have been a really cute boy.
Yes, young teenage Kurt Russell, get out of here. Love it.
Supposedly the last words that Walt Disney ever said. I don't know if that's true.
Or he
You
wrote
always
it,
hear that.
or he wrote
Yep.
his name down or something. Like
Interesting.
very, very Rosebud, very like Citizen Kane. Right, Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think he fulfilled whatever prophecy that was. They're American treasures, the two of them. But yeah, I don't know how much I subscribe to like Bette Midler being a diva or rubbing people the wrong way, but they all seem cool together. They did the Oprah interview.
Yeah. I think they both said. I think all three have said they're open to a sequel.
Yes.
Well, we have to talk about the sequel.
Okay.
I feel like the
Let's talk
sequel
about
has
it.
been talked about ever since the 90s.
Pretty
And
much.
I was kind of reading some...
Is it the studio that's just like, hell no?
I mean, that's kind of the thing, is that this movie was a kind of a sleeper success. It opened
Huge.
It opened with a Bruce Willis movie the same weekend in September, Last Man Standing, and it stayed at number one for three consecutive weeks and stayed in the top 5 for a total of 6 weeks, and it ended up getting like $105 million domestically.
Wow.
And I feel like the studio kind of wrote it off as a fluke.
Yep.
And I think a big thing was,
'Cause this
at
was
the
pre-book
time,
club.
pre-book club,
pre-book club
is
cinema.
that they didn't want to pay Goldie, Bette, and Dianne probably what they were asking.
I believe that.
If they were men, they would be getting it. And I think that Bette has said that in press. Of that, if we were guys, we would be getting that amount.
I believe it.
Yeah. They
So,
could have gotten like 15
I think that
million
ideas
apiece.
have been developing. I want to say in around like 2018, there was some press that they were going to be doing it.
Has Goldie Hawn ever done a sequel?
Oh my god!
I mean, I'm still holding out for the Banger Sisters too.
Well, she's in the Christmas Chronicles 2, but she wasn't in the first one. Well, she was a cameo at the very end. No, she wasn't even in it.
No, she was at the very end.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember when first watching it,
and you were
Goldie,
like, "I bet
if Goldie is not at the end of this movie as Mrs. Claus, I'm going to be so fucking
Netflix.
pissed that I watched this entire movie." And yeah, I think that she was.
Okay.
And I think that it's a movie that there has been passes of the script, and I just think that maybe they're just not great, or all three of them can't really agree on elements of the story.
Right.
I know that Paul Rudnick wrote... hold on, let me look him up in my notes.
I mean, what is the story of the sequel going to be 25 years later?
Hold on.
I mean, maybe their business is failing.
Okay.
The women's counseling business that they...
So here's the quote from Bette Midler that when she was doing press for something. I used to lobby for First Wives Club 2, but there were too many political reasons that they didn't want to do that again, and it always broke my heart. I really felt that it was a serious diss because when women have hits, it's a fluke. But when men have hits, isn't it great? At least,
I mean,
that's what they told us on First Wives.
I mean, how many Expendables movies are we at this point?
Yeah.
And Paul Rudnick allegedly wrote a screenplay in the mid-2000s called Amazon Ladies of the Amazon, where the trio attempts to sell beauty products to indigenous people in South America.
What?
Maybe it's for the best that script did not get made.
Yeah.
Why would they?
But yeah, I think that Paul Rudnick turned in a crazy script, and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That sounds insane to me.
Who wouldn't want to make that movie?
I mean, I'm down for a sequel, but beauty products, that's not even part of what this... No, that's completely out of left field.
And I think it was Goldie Hawn when she was talking about the salary dispute of that the studio just didn't want to pay him what they were wanting.
Yeah. I think now... if it ever were to get off the ground, it's going to be that book club cinema kind of thing. It's
yes.
Which I take it.
I take it for sure. Yeah. And
it can't be any worse of those movies.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. And I kind of see this as a precursor to...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, these weren't women in like the second act of their lives. I mean, they were still at the top of their game. I mean, Bette would have been coming off of a Best Actress nomination in the early 90s. Goldie had done a string of studio comedies like House Sitter.
And Death Becomes Her.
And Diane Keaton had always... I mean, this is the same year that Diane Keaton got like a Best Actress nomination. So they were both... all three of them were kind of at the top of their game at the time.
Yeah.
Which is why it shouldn't be such a fluke that this movie was a hit.
Yeah. Right. Because they were all strong enough to carry movies on their own. And it's like, so obviously together this is going to work. Yeah, that's crazy. When there are so many Expendables movies and Fast and the Furious.
I mean, I would just watch a movie of all three of these women just going on vacation. That you don't even need to brand it as like a revenge comedy.
Isn't that anymore. Book Club too?
Yeah. Which I'd watch.
We watched 80 for Brady and we're charmed.
Oh, it was pretty much like an episode of The Golden Girls. I loved it.
I mean, we love all these women so damn much.
Yeah.
That's why they keep making them, and that's why we keep watching them.
I mean, isn't Rita Moreno actually 90?
Yes.
And she looked just as good as any of them in that movie. And she, still spry out there. And especially these three are not even close to that age yet.
Yeah, so they're all in their mid-70s.
70s, yeah. I don't know. And they're still all pretty much working consistently. What was that body switch movie Diane Keaton was just in?
Oh, with Simon Rex.
Was it with Simon Rex?
It was with Simon Rex.
Or the Pom Pom movie.
Poms.
Oh, she was in Poms.
Yes.
That one was pretty bad, I have to say.
Yeah, that one was nice. And which is kind of shocking of that. How can a movie like Poms get made, but the First Wives Club 2
sequel?
does not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe we just get the three of them together, but it's not a First Wives Club sequel.
Sure.
Like a Fish Called Wanda situation.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
I mean, I feel like ideally that's
great?
probably what has to happen.
Yeah.
Is just
another movie with the three of them.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I think that would have. And the thing is that like this shit has built-in audience. All the people that watched us when they were young and fell in love with it are now the people that are like
their age,
spending money, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and spending money on going to the movies,
right,
you know?
and
like,
going through divorces,
yeah,
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So it's like use all that you have that's built into this movie already, like the nostalgia,
and you could even bring back some of the secondary cast. I mean, SJP would probably be down. Elizabeth Berkley would probably be down. Victor Garber would probably be down.
Yeah.
Maggie Smith would probably be down.
Victor Garber came out as a late in life homosexual. His character in the movie.
There's a plot line.
A gay movie producer?
Yeah.
What?
Isn't that what Fran's second sitcom was about? The Happily Divorced.
Yeah. That was like their
it was
true
based on the relationship with their husband.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, that's crazy. Oh, Fran.
Go girl.
I mean, she's leading the revolution.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
she's at the
she
gates
should like run for president.
She's like at the gates of Paramount.
When we first heard that she was running for SAG president, we were like, work, Fran. We're going to try to join SAG just to vote for you.
And do you remember who she ran against? It was Matthew Modine.
Yes.
Yep.
Which
it was a contentious race, wasn't it?
Most of my actor friends were Team Matthew.
Yeah.
And I think until Fran announced the strike, people were still Team Matthew. So,
wow.
But I think Fran really redeemed herself.
She bounced back from the Kardashian photo very well.
Yes.
And she said it was purely a work thing.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I do remember that it was a very contentious race. And then even some like nanny co-stars were just like, we're Team Matthew.
Yes.
But, it's like you got to do what you got to do for work.
And they're also unified now. Right. Which is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. We stand with the strike, unlike other CW superheroes that may not be. Although by the time this episode comes out, nobody's even going to remember.
Yeah.
that happened.
Okay, so we had not seen this movie, but whenever we would go to quads in Palm Springs, we would always see this. So
I mean, it's just a pop cultural moment.
Yeah.
So I feel like I always just knew this Leslie Gore song.
Yeah.
Of You Don't Know Me, right?
Own me.
You don't own me.
You don't own me.
That I always kind of associated with the First Wives Club.
Yeah.
And I'd never
So you hadn't seen the movie, but you knew that number.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I knew the
At
number.
least you guys knew that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay,
We knew the number. And I always had, so their costuming in the number, too, I love. Because
it's so true to character.
Yeah.
And so true to actress, too.
Yes. It's very true to not only the character, but to all of them. And especially because I hadn't seen the movie, I was like, yeah, these looks work. But I did feel like, again, Bette Midler's look is the most mom-ish, the most matronly of them all. She's got like it's kind of like just a circle skirt with like a suit coat.
Right.
But Diane's wearing a skirt, but hers is a little bit more like
up.
Yeah. More like a pencil skirt.
And a little snugger.
Yeah. And then Goldie's got the like white leather pants.
Right. Which she can work.
Yeah.
I'm a Kinsey 6, but wow.
But no, she looks great. Like, okay. But I was like, all right, she gets to have these like cool tight leather pants, but very Goldie. Again, is it very Banger Sisters? Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Do you notice the change in the shoes?
No. Did they give them flats? Just because they're kind of like
Goldie.
They're kind of dancing around.
So as they're walking out, yeah. You don't own me. You don't own me. You don't own me. When they walk out, like onto the concrete,
sure. Because they get their coats and then they leave the building.
Right. And Goldie's wearing easier to walk in shoes.
Okay.
Sure.
There's cobblestones on those streets. I called it out.
Yep. I mean, of course.
We don't want Goldie to sprain an ankle or anything.
Exactly. Yeah. She's a dancer. I mean, she probably could have handled it. She's a dancer, but
right.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny. No, we didn't notice that. We'll have to look out for that one. We love Gaff Squad moments. But yeah, that song is definitely at Quads at the video bar, at the Show Tunes video bar. That one does come on a lot. But I think even without that, it's just a pop culture moment. I think people just know that there's all singing, all dancing First Wives Club.
Probably a really fun scene to see in the theater at the time.
I
like
bet.
a packed audience.
Yeah.
Depending on depending on the audience.
A packed audience of homosexuals.
Exactly. Thank you.
But, it's like Bette Midler, obviously, singer. We love to see it. We love to hear her sing in anything. Give her a musical number in any movie that's not a musical. I'm here for it. But I was like, all right, Goldie.
Yeah.
Work.
That sounds like
you.
She did a special with Liza in the 70s. And
did she sing it all? Did she sing it all in Laugh-In?
I think
I'm assuming that she probably sang a little bit on that.
Yeah, she sang on the Dean Martin show.
Yep.
With
Goldie is just that last generation of
the
actresses that you had
the
to
triple
do
threat
it
for
all.
sure.
You had to sing, dance, and act.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she can.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't have to do that anymore. And when they do, it's like, oh my God, wow.
Whoa.
Ryan Gosling.
Oh my God, Emma Stone. Whoa.
Yeah. Oscar.
Yeah.
And Dianne Keaton is also there.
I think that
who can sing too? I mean, not like
I'm just
Bette
kind of
Goldie,
going into if La La Land was made in like the 70s. Goldie Hawn would have knocked that role out.
Well, you know, have you guys seen the Goldie and Liza special? It's on YouTube.
I've seen bits of it on,
I need to watch it.
TikTok.
Yeah. Oh my God,
I want to listen to a conversation with
You're
those
like,
two.
how did these two not make Chicago?
Oh my God.
Sure.
That's what Chicago should have been.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chicago
Goldie was one of those actresses for decades as they were developing Chicago that Goldie was always on the list.
Yes.
And clearly you're going to get Liza there just because you're going to get
it was
the
70s
Bob,
Liza.
like
of
the
course.
Bob Fosse
Yeah.
is going to put her in that conversation. But yeah.
I
Roxanne
think-
Feldman with Goldie and Liza.
I think that special actually ends with All That Jazz.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that was actually kind of a little campaign.
I was going to say it might have been like a showcase.
I think it was.
Like,
I think that's exactly what it
let's
was.
get
Well,
this
and
going.
when you watch it, it's like, yes, this should have been Chicago.
What year was this then?
78, 80?
So it would have been like 54 Liza.
Yes.
Even better.
54 era.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like right after New York, my favorite movie. Yeah. And Goldie Foul Play era.
Yes. It's 1980.
Yeah.
Looking it up right now. Yeah. Goldie and Liza together.
Like
I love that.
Ecstasy.
Yeah, 49-minute YouTube video, so the whole thing is on
Yep.
YouTube. There were commercials. It was on television, so that's the whole thing. We will be watching that later this evening.
Ecstasy.
Absolutely.
I feel bad for giving this movie a hard time of that. I do see the development problems with the script. I do think it works.
Yeah.
Of that, I think all three of them are really good in this movie, and it does kind of elevate it. That you can look past the story problems.
It's the
of
Meryl
it.
Streep thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing actress in inferior material that makes it really good material.
Yeah. And watching it for the first time, I wasn't just like, I don't even know what's happening right now. Like, you get it.
No, you get it.
Yeah,
Right.
It's not like, what?
It's a pretty simple story.
Yeah. Because there are some movies that I'm watching and I was like, what the shit? Where?
I mean, there's definitely some good laughs in it.
Oh,
like when they're in the winter washer thing going down.
Yeah.
Definitely good laughs.
I remember all that from the marketing. I remember the TV spots. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. It's good. Yeah, loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely should have not have waited this long to see it. I don't know.
Like
why.
I mentioned, it was always one of those movies that I was meaning to get to.
Yeah.
I was meaning to get to this movie for a good 25 years.
Totally. Well, cross it off the list.
Well, it was definitely one of the ones that made me gay.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, we're Bette Midler like fans in this house. We're Goldie
I was
Hawn
trying
fans,
to count
like,
the number
love.
of Bette Midler movies that we've done on the show. Pete, do you want to take a stab at
I
it?
don't even know. I know we did Hocus Pocus. I know we did Big Business. I know we did Outrageous Fortune. So that's 3.
Ruthless People.
Oh, we did do Ruthless People. That's
So we got them all.
4.
Outrageous Fortune, Ruthless People, Hocus Pocus, First Wives Club, and Big Business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this is the fifth Bette Midler movie that
Yeah.
we did. Wow. I love that. We'll probably do another
And
one.
Goldie, you've just done this and Death Becomes Her?
And
Death
Overboard.
Becomes Her and Overboard.
Overboard. Duh.
Overboard was
Duh.
like episode 2.
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it sure was. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. And we recently did Family Stone.
Yeah. The very contentious Family Stone episode. And you know what's, I mean, both Goldie and Bette did not have the career trajectory that Diane Keaton had. That Diane Keaton had the awardsy moment in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
With Something's Gotta Give.
That's true.
Of that, all of a sudden, she probably ran second. She probably ran second to Charlize Theron in that Oscar race.
Probably, though there was no contest that year. But
yeah. Oh wait, that was for Something's Gotta Give.
Something's Gotta Give.
Okay.
Nancy Meyers Cinema.
Yes.
I mean, Diane Keaton is the queen of Nancy Meyers Cinema. We know this, but didn't she also work again with her husband in this movie in Because I Said So?
Oh, that's right.
I think isn't he Mandy Moore's father or something?
I never saw Because I Said So.
Yeah,
does that have?
I started it.
Does that have?
Is that the Mandy Moore one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have Victor. It's got Stephen. What's his name?
Stephen Collins.
Stephen Collins.
Oh,
Star Trek guy. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. What did Something's Gotta Give has Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy. Do we foresee like Leo ever forsaking Martin Scorsese and starting to do like wacky romantic comedies?
No. Nope.
With women his own age. No. He doesn't have his.
I guess
terms of endearment.
Lily Gladstone. Lily Gladstone is
trajectory.
kind of around my age for this Killers of the Flower Moon movie, so I guess that's the best that we got.
Yeah. True.
Mm-hmm.
Leo's no Jack, but yeah, Something's Gotta Give. That's
Though
I never saw it.
I did just rewatch As Good as It Gets, and that's Jack at 60 with Helen Hunt at like 35.
I've considered,
and yet you believe it.
Yeah.
I've considered doing that movie on the podcast just because of the Greg Kinnear character.
Yeah.
Of that, I remember watching that movie when I was a kid and
like,
seeing that character.
This is what my life
and
will
just
be.
kind of being like, I don't really understand the life of a gay adult, but I totally get this guy. I remember thinking that when I was like 10 years old.
Well, and now there's all this contention around that because it's like, why is he this pitiful character?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure,
But I guess
he gets the shit
with that
beat out of
episode.
him. He's in like a cast for most of the movie. He gets this sad monologue with Helen Hunt in the car.
Right.
Yeah, I get it, but yeah, it was all that we had.
That was our tragic homosexual character of the character trope of the 90s. But you know,
Simon the Fat.
So I guess,
Yep.
I guess we had Greg Kinnear in As Good as It Gets, and in this one we had the lesbian daughter.
sure, yeah. Was Bronson?
Those were the stereotypical gays of the 90s.
Was Bronson Pinchot playing gay in this? Maybe? I
got
don't
that
know.
vibe.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
I got it.
He's
I kind
a
of
straight
like
actor,
I kind
but,
of like
you know.
Brenda just had like a gay best friend.
Yeah.
She would be the one that you would gravitate to the most
For sure.
of all of these three. I think
Yeah.
the lesbian bar scenes are really fun.
Yeah, that lesbian bar was on and popping.
Which early appearance from
Leah Delaria.
Orange is the New Black. Leah Delaria, yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, she's out. Anytime
Yep.
you needed a lesbian in the 90s, she was right there for you. Sure, I'll be in it. Yeah. Fun, but funny little beats with her,
Yes.
and with her and Elise.
And I like that the Goldie character is the type that would really like have fun at the lesbian bar.
For sure.
And would be out on the dance floor.
And this is pre-social media, so there's going to be those stories of like, well, I saw Elise
Right.
at this bar one night, just
Right.
like blah, blah, blah. And it's just the story gets around, but there's no pictures.
Right.
You know, because
Or at the very end when Bet like owns it and is like, she's with me, baby.
Yeah.
Come on, honey, my place.
what's going on with me? Yeah, that was great. Yeah, love it. So, I mean, yeah, this movie has all the touchstones that we look for here at Movies That Made Us
I
Gay.
mean, I don't think it's too late for a First Wives Club 2, and like you mentioned, Pete, of that it can just be all three of them.
and something.
Yeah.
And just something.
Yeah.
Especially that we're at a time, I mean, maybe Book Club 2 didn't make all that much money, but what are they going to follow that up with? For like old lady cinema?
Yeah, yeah.
Book club cinema.
Book Club cinema. Yep.
You can say old lady cinema.
Old lady cinema. Yep.
Do you know on the most recent episode of Very Delta, she said, "This is the podcast for people that like to call her Candy Bergen." That was so stupid. I was like, "Ooh, that's me," and that's why I listen to this podcast.
Candy Bergen is like the era when she was dating the Beach Boys guy.
Yeah. They like on
Yep.
SNL they would call her Candy, like Gilda Radner called her Candy, but like, yeah, She became Candace when she was a
serious actor.
Yes. Once she got Murphy Brown and started winning
Right.
30 Emmys a year.
And beat Delta Burke.
Right? Wasn't Candace Bergen the kind of person that she just won so many damn Emmys that she took herself out of the running?
I think she stopped after like 5 in a row.
I think she was just
something.
like, don't even submit me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I got enough.
It's like 5 is enough.
Yeah. All right, Candy. But I mean, Candy Bergen is now just like another stalwart of Granny Cinema. Book club cinema. We love it.
She was really good in Let Them All Talk. I thought she should have been nominated for it.
Going back to the remake of The Women, she's in that.
She is in
Yeah,
it.
she's Meg Ryan's mom, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think she's the funniest part of it when she's like, I just paid $2,000 to look breasted. Of course it hurts.
I mean, does that math work out?
Well, I don't know if it's 2,000.
Maybe.
No. But of Candy Bergen being Meg Ryan's mom.
Yes.
That math.
Oh.
Does that work out?
Oh, that math. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Young mother. Oh, well. But don't watch a remake of The Woman. even for that joke. Even though she's the best part of it.
We're going to watch the remake of The Women when we get off this call.
Well, you love Jada Pinkett.
When we get off this recording. She used to be a lesbian in that movie, too.
She does.
Yep.
Yeah. Listeners.
Please don't watch the sequel of The Women, listeners, please.
It's not my fault if you go to watch that one. That's on you. Oh, my goodness. Well, this was a lot of fun talking about...
Thank you so much, Jack.
Thank you. I'm such a fan.
You wrote a very lovely article about us for CyberSocket.
Yes, indeed.
When we saw that email, we were like, CyberSocket?
Yes, we're in.
Yes, we're in. Mm-hmm.
And we're still open to any partnerships with CyberSocket.
I only write the G-rated stuff, guys. Sorry.
All right.
I write about you guys, and I write about the handsome guys on Hallmark Christmas movies. Sorry.
Love it. And you have a YouTube channel.
I do. Fields on Film.
Awesome. Fields on Film on YouTube. What do you talk about on YouTube?
Well, I talk about a few things, but mostly it's just footage of all this... My adventures in La La Land, basically.
Sure.
All the screenings that I go to, all the Q&As that I watch, all of the live events and cool people in person.
You're always a good person to follow.
The stuff that you can only do here in LA.
You're always a good person to follow to update people on just everything that's happening for screenings in LA. Yeah.
You know, what keeps me in this damn city is all the interesting stuff there is to go and watch.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like revival houses at American Cinematheque, New Beverly. It's just, I mean... We take shit like that for granted in LA.
That's
all cities don't have that.
Yeah.
Nope, no other city as much.
Yeah. Did you do a Jawbreaker Q&A? Did you visit one? Did you have a video about that?
Jawbreaker? No.
Okay, because I was like, I was watching something, and I know I was watching one of yours, and I was like, was it the Darren Stein? I don't remember. No. But yeah, Fields on Film. Mm-hmm. Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, and then I also help program the Last Remaining Seats event with the LA Conservancy.
Love it.
Yes.
Love that.
And then the other film festival I program, I actually just got back from, and we screened As Good as It Gets, and Helen Hunt was with us, is the Plaza Classic Film Festival back in El Paso, Texas, my hometown.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Last Remaining Seats has been going on for so long.
It has.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's still like...
It's still a fun part of summer in LA.
Yeah. Love it.
Classic movies in the downtown movie palaces.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love that. Well, I mean, this was so much fun. Thank you again.
I'm glad that we finally got to the First Wives Club. Yes. I think that listeners have been shocked that we have never, that we did not do this movie in like the first 20 episodes.
I wonder how they're going to react to finding out you guys had never seen it.
I was going to say, it became that thing of just like, well, we never saw it. So now it's like kind of weird that we haven't done it and we still haven't watched it.
I'm a little embarrassed to admit it. Yeah. But we all have movies like that.
Of course.
What's one of your cinematic blind spots like that? Of like
for movies that made us gay?
Movies that made us gay.
Just
kind of stand by that you just have never gotten to.
Movies that made us gay that I haven't seen. Boys, I have not seen Big Business.
Big Business is a delight. You should watch it.
I know.
I hadn't seen.
I love Outrageous Fortune.
Yes, yeah, that's so great.
I don't think I had seen Big Business until I started going out with Pete.
Yeah, you probably hadn't. I think I was like, you have to watch.
I think Pete introduced me to that.
Yeah. And Bette sings 2 songs in that.
Yeah. I think I saw it years ago. I think I saw it like literally once.
Sure. I think that I may have seen an edited for cable that I just dipped in on when I was young, and I don't remember any of it.
Is it on Disney Plus still? Probably.
It's one of Bette's Touchstone movies. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. So there you go, listeners. Mm-hmm. Go check it out.
Yeah.
She sings 2 songs. And Lily Tomlin's also there. It's great. Oh, and Fred Ward, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Looking
Fred Ward.
fine as hell. Doing push-ups in the Plaza Hotel with no shirt on. We love you, Fred Ward. But yeah, I mean, we all have our blind spots, and now we finally filled in First Wives Club. So thank you
thank you so much
bringing this movie to us. I mean, it was always on our radar, but it gave us a good excuse to get it out there. So we'd love to have you on again in the future.
Anytime.
We will.
I'm such a fan.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much. And we're definitely fans of you as well. Oh. So until next time, we bid you adieu. Good night. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Fun episode.
Yes, indeed. We are now First Wives Club super fans.
We're in the club.
We're in the
club, listeners.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you once again to our guests. That was so much fun for coming on. But I think right now...
Is it that time,
Pete?
Pete?
That time. Where is it? Time for the Patreon shout-outs.
Let's hear them.
All right. And we would like to say a great big thank you to all of our patrons, including Daisy, Patrick, Kelly, Chrissy, Stephen, Jake, Desiree, Adam, Laura, Thomas, Brenna, Jessa Rabbit, Lawrence, Lisa, Alexis, Thomas, Mark, Jackson, Millie, Ted, Benny, Jamel, Melanie, Susan, JJ, Muffy, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emily, Aaron, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and also Rufino. Guys,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our Patreon has lots of really cool bonus features like our Watch This commentary tracks. There are over 30 of them. We watch a movie, we record a commentary live as the movie is playing, and we give you instructions on how to sync it up to the movie. If it's streaming online or if you own it, you can watch with us.
Yeah, we're going to have some new ones around the time this recording comes out.
Yes, they'll be coming up shortly. And also, if you don't want to watch them synced up to the movie, you can just listen to them as a regular podcast episode. They work fine that way, but they're really cool when you sync them up with the movie. And there's over 30 of those. We also have done recaps of the latest season of Drag Race All-Stars, season 8. Every episode of that is up for $5 and above. So you can check that out. Lots of fun stuff over on the Patreon. So give it a check out. And all of those donations are super duper helpful for us. If you don't want to do an ongoing thing, you can just do $10 for 30 days.
Yeah.
And you can listen to everything that you can listen to in that 30 days, and then you're done. And it's a one-time donation, and you have access to every single thing, including all the back issues of the newsletters and everything. So check it out. We'd also love it if you would rate and review the show.
Yeah, give us 5 stars. We would love to read some kind words in a iTunes or a Spotify review.
Indeed. Actually, we just got a new Apple Podcast review that I can read right now. Let's see. It is from an Apple Podcast listener here in the U.S., and they go by the name of Jay Nimitz. And the review starts out, "What a delight. I stumbled on this podcast trying to find a good breakdown of the film The Blue Lagoon and why it's such a formative film. I mostly found podcasts that ripped that movie to shreds until I found this. Pete, Scott, and Braden didn't absolve the movie of its problematic aspects, but they didn't trash it either, and I appreciate that. Also, it was hilarious. I've since binged multiple episodes and love Pete and Scott's film-savvy convos, anecdotes, and guests they have on. 10 out of 10 would recommend."
I love how specific that review gets with the Blue Lagoon. I love that episode with Braden.
It is a really fun episode. It's really funny. Blue Lagoon is wild. It's an older episode.
I love the Blue Lagoon.
Pre-pandemic. Yeah, we love it. So much fun. So thank you so much, Jay Nimitz.
Thank you so much. That's very sweet.
And if you guys write a review over on Apple Podcasts, we'll definitely read it here on an episode. And do the 5-star thing over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And if you follow us on whatever podcast platform that you listen to, it definitely helps us out, giving us a boost so more people can find us. We're also on pretty much any social media platform. We're at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram and Threads and Facebook.
At MTMUG Pod.
On
Twitter.
Yes. We're still on Twitter. Whatever. It's there. But, go ahead and find us there. If you want to find our personal socials, you can do that as well. I'm Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Threads and Twitter.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.